Something truly amazing might be happening inside you right now as you listen to these words. Those 86 billion beautiful neurons are firing in your brain, making a symphony of thoughts. However, what if it's not just science and electricity? Although some scientists are very brave, they think that consciousness, the thing that makes you unique, doesn't just come from your brain. Some people think it comes from quantum mechanics, the most basic and mysterious laws of the world. This is where the story goes somewhat haywire. When other scientists hear this, they say it's not possible because these tiny quantum whispers would never be able to live in your brain, which is hot and busy. Who is right then? Does quantum physics really make you aware? Or is this all just a beautiful dream dressed up as science? Please allow me to take you on a trip that will take you to the core of who you are. We'll talk about the amazing idea that your brain could be a quantum computer, that your thoughts can be in many places at once, and that your consciousness could be the world itself. People who have ever felt like their minds were more than what they saw on the surface should take this trip. Starting now. If you keep reading, you'll understand why this idea has moved so many people, and how the answer might forever change how we see ourselves. I want to kindly warn you, though. What you're about to learn about your mind might make you question everything you thought you knew about it. The British scientist Roger Penrose is the start of our story. He has a truly amazing mind. He wrote a book in 1989 that made people all over the world think and feel upset. The Nobel Prize winner Penrose said something brave and beautiful. He said that the simple, back-of-the-envelope physics of our everyday world can't explain human consciousness. He was adamant that our brains must be using the magical and mysterious world of quantum mechanics to make the world of feelings and experiences you are living in now. Take a moment to think about it. It's not just images that you're processing as you watch this. You are going through it. You can see the colors and hear the tone of my words. You might feel interested or hopeful. This unique inside of you feeling has a name. Qualia. It's how chocolate tastes, how a cool breeze feels, and how love makes you feel. A regular computer can do its job correctly, but it doesn't feel anything. The thing doesn't have that amazing movie playing in its head like you do. Penrose understood that this was a very big puzzle. Then why should you feel anything? Your mind is just a biological computer made up of neurons acting like switches. Why aren't we all just empty robots that perfectly process the world but don't feel anything? This puzzle has been around for hundreds of years and is called the hard problem of consciousness. But Penrose came up with an amazing answer. He said that your consciousness comes from quantum processes going on in microtubules, which are the tiniest structures inside your neurons. These are like the glassy, delicate framework of your brain cells. Penrose said that these tiny structures could be the quantum computers that are working in your head. It felt like a dream gave me that idea. Particles can be in more than one place at once in the quantum world. Just looking at something can change it, and quantum entanglement can join two particles that are very far apart in a mysterious way. If your consciousness comes from this world, then the rules that govern your thoughts are very different from those that govern the physical world. But Penrose knew a lot about math. He had to be with someone who knew about the complicated dance of life in the brain. That's when he found physician Stuart Hameroff. One of the most interesting and controversial scientific ideas was born from their work together. Tell us in the comments if you've ever felt like your insight comes from a deeper, more mysterious place. My mind is a miracle. Let this be a statement about the amazing world inside you that you can't see. Penrose's big idea was helped by Hameroff's deep knowledge of the human brain. He had spent his life as an anesthesiologist, learning how consciousness can be gently turned on and off. He saw something that made his heart beat faster. He used drugs to put people to sleep that seemed to work on the same microtubules that Penrose had pointed out. He was sure that this wasn't a mistake. Hameroff discovered that if consciousness is a delicate quantum process taking place in these microtubules, then anesthetics might work by slowly upsetting the balance of that quantum process. You don't just fall asleep when you're under anesthesia. Your entire inner world, the feeling of being yourself, goes away. This made me think that consciousness might be a delicate quantum flame that these chemicals can put out for a short time. They came up with an idea that they called OR, which stands for Orchestrated Objective Reduction. It's a fancy name for an incredibly simple idea. The theory says that when the quantum information being processed in your microtubules reaches a certain point and then collapses into a single definite state, consciousness appears. It's their case that this collapse, this quantum choice, is a conscious moment. OR says that your consciousness is more than just a bunch of neurons firing off one after the other. There are millions of microtubules in your brain working together in a grand, unified way to do quantum operations all at the same time. Different parts of your brain can be linked and entangled by these quantum processes. This is what gives you the single, complete, and continuous feeling of awareness you are having right now. So many things could happen because of this. It means that your thinking may be like a wave of all the possible outcomes, a superposition, before you have a single clear idea. It might help you understand where your creativity and intuition come from and why the best answer to a problem can sometimes just pop into your head, fully formed, as if it were a gift from a higher power. It could even mean that consciousness is built into the world itself, like a song that has been playing since the beginning of time. But as soon as Penrose and Hameroff told everyone about their great idea, there was a flood of anger. A lot of well-known scientists said it was impossible, that such a delicate quantum dance could never live in the brain, which is hot, messy, and full of life. A quantum concept called decoherence is the main reason why they are wrong. Particles in the quantum world can be in a state of pure potential, which is a superposition of all possible outcomes at the same time. However, this state is very weak. Just a vibration or a bit of heat from the outside world is enough to decohere or collapse this delicate state into a single normal reality. To be exact, your brain is 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit hot. It's full of water droplets that are vibrating and is always busy. Some people said that this warm, wet, and noisy place would destroy any quantum coherence in a very short time, which is way too fast for it to have anything to do with your thoughts, which happen over a much longer period of time. To figure out how long quantum coherence would last in microtubules, a scientist named Max Tegmark did some math. It would be like trying to build a fancy sandcastle while it's hurricaning outside. Some people, including him, said that Penrose and Hameroff were using the mystery of quantum mechanics to explain the mystery of consciousness. They called this quantum mysticism. Please take a moment to like this video if this look into your inner world speaks to you. Think of it as your own conscious observation, an act that collapses the wave of possibility and sends a ripple of positive energy into this shared quantum field, helping this message reach those who need it. People who believe in quantum consciousness did not give up, though. They stuck to their belief, and soon finds in the strangest places started to show that maybe, just maybe, they were right the whole time. Not a brain, but a simple leaf gave us our first hint that life might be more quantum than we thought. For a long time, Experts thought photosynthesis was a simple chemical process. Photosynthesis is how plants turn light into energy. But in 2007, scientists found something truly amazing. For photosynthesis to work so well, quantum coherence is actually needed. A small amount of energy is made when a light particle hits a leaf. This power has to get to a certain part of the cell known as the response center. Before, people thought that this energy packet would just bounce around until it reached its goal. But what's really going on is much more beautiful. The energy packet is in a quantum superposition, which means it is looking at every direction it can take through the leaf at the same time. Because it uses quantum search, it can quickly find the best way to do things. This is why photosynthesis is so efficient. This finding changed everything. It showed that small quantum effects could work in live systems that are warm and noisy. A simple plant can stay in a quantum state long enough to use the sun's energy. Maybe our brains can do the same for long enough to think of an idea. And there was more and more proof. The way birds travel has been linked to quantum effects. They can see the Earth's magnetic field because of a special kind of quantum entanglement in their eyes. This helps them on their long trips. They discovered quantum tunneling in our bodies, which allows particles to move through energy barriers that they shouldn't be able to cross, enabling important chemical processes to take place. Because your nose can tell the difference between molecules based on their unique quantum vibrations, your sense of smell may also depend on quantum mechanics. It turns out that living things not only survive in quantum worlds, they thrive in them. Biology is based on quantum mechanics. Scientists had to take a second look at the brain after this amazing discovery. They asked themselves, if life is using quantum tricks everywhere else, then why not for its most important creation, consciousness? But this argument is about more than just biology. It has to do with the very nature of truth. Some ways of thinking about quantum mechanics say that consciousness isn't just a bystander. It has a special place in the universe. In this theory, the quantum wave of possibilities is said to collapse into a single, concrete world when a conscious thought looks at it. This thought goes back to the people who first came up with quantum mechanics. One of its founders, Werner Heisenberg, said that science doesn't describe a world that exists apart from us. It tells us what we know about reality instead. And that information changes when someone who is aware of it looks at it. This seems to be what the famous double-slit experiment shows. Electrons behave like waves when they are sent through two slits without being seen. This makes a pattern that shows they went through both slits at the same time. The pattern goes away when you look at which hole they go through, though, and they act like simple particles again. If there is a conscious observer, the world seems to hold its breath and wait to decide what reality to show. Because of this, some people have come up with the really crazy idea that consciousness isn't made by the brain, but is a basic property of the world, like light or gravity. According to this theory, consciousness is not created by the brain. Rather, it operates more like a radio antenna, picking up a field of awareness that already exists at the quantum level of reality. Comment: I am connected to everything, to support your belief that your consciousness is inextricably linked to the rest of the world. Writing these words down can help you remember your part in the dance of the universe. Make sure you subscribe and click the notification bell to keep getting these transmissions and to keep your own quantum channel tuned to these ideas. When you subscribe, it's like becoming energetically connected to this field of discovery. This way, you'll never miss a spark that could light a fire in your own inner world. Scientists did something in a California lab in 2010 that had been thought to be impossible for a long time. They made a quantum object that was big enough to see with the human eye for the first time. A very small piece of metal, about the width of a human hair, had been cooled almost to absolute zero. Something magical took place at that setting. At the same time, the metal piece started to vibrate and not vibrate. It was in a quantum superposition of motion and stillness. People used to think that quantum effects only happened in the very small world. If a man-made thing can hold a quantum state, then the microtubules in our brains might be able to too. But the doubters said that the brain is not a lab that has been cooled to absolute zero. It's a warm, busy spot. But in biology labs around the world, scientists were finding that nature was a lot smarter than we thought. It looked like evolution had found ways to protect and use quantum effects that we couldn't understand. In Japan, a quantum scientist named Anirban Bandyopadhyay chose to test this directly on microtubules from brain cells. He was shocked by what he found. He found out that microtubules are more than just extra support. When he put an electric field around them, they started to vibrate in sync, like tiny bells that were perfectly tuned. Amazingly, these coherent oscillations remained at room temperature, which is the same temperature inside your head, and could only be explained by quantum effects. The results shocked everyone. It gave us hope that our brains might really be full of tiny quantum computers that work inside every cell. In the event that your consciousness comes from this quantum processing, that would explain why your brain is so powerful. Think about everything that's going on in your mind at the moment. You can process light, understand complicated words, remember things, and feel things, and you are aware of all of this. Even one of these tasks would be hard for the world's most powerful supercomputers to do. But your brain does them all with ease and uses less power than a dim light bulb. Supporters of this theory say that quantum processing is the only way to explain this huge amount of computing power. Your mind is not just a computer made of matter, it's also a quantum computer. Anesthesiology, which you might not expect, agreed with this idea. Even though they are chemically inert and don't normally interact with anything in the brain, some gases, like xenon, can completely disrupt consciousness. It turns out that these gases can dissolve into the areas around microtubules, and the exact amount needed to upset these delicate quantum processes is the same amount needed to cause unconsciousness. For people who believe in quantum consciousness, this is clear proof. Consciousness disappears when the quantum balance is broken. You wake up when it comes back. This could be true for other events as well. Psychedelic drugs may work by increasing this quantum coherence, which can give you a sense of cosmic unity and increased awareness that feels a lot like the interconnectedness described by quantum entanglement. One way to get in touch with these quantum effects could be to do deep meditation. A lot of experienced meditators talk about a state where they don't feel like they have a separate self, and their awareness is linked to everything. Brain scans of meditating monks show that parts of their brains that are very far apart light up at the same time, faster than a normal nerve signal could travel. This suggests that there is a quantum link, but the critics are still not satisfied, saying that these are just links, not proof. Max Tegmark keeps saying that the brain's heat would be too much for any quantum state to handle. But quantum believers know what to do. They talk about how quantum error correction has been found in living things. Nature has come up with smart ways to keep quantum information safe from noise. It is possible that our brains have evolved even more advanced ways to protect the quantum states that make up our thoughts, since germs can do it to find their way around. There is a philosophical question, as well as a scientific question, at the heart of this beautiful, messy, and exciting discussion. There's a question of whether your mind, soul, or very core can be summed up in simple physical processes, or if it needs something more substantial. The field of mainstream neuroscience has come a long way. Scientists can now look at how your brain is working and know amazingly well what you are thinking or seeing. Some parts of the brain can be stimulated to bring back memories or even change who you are. This makes it seem like consciousness is directly connected to the brain. Certain ideas, like the global workspace theory, say that consciousness is what happens when information is sent between the brain's different networks using normal, established paths. You don't need quantum magic. Even with all of this growth, classical theories still can't explain the most important question of all. Why do you feel anything? Why does processing all that knowledge lead to an experience inside? What does it feel like to be you? We can't fully explain this, so the door for quantum consciousness stays open. If consciousness is just processing information, then the smartest computers we have should be conscious. Still, our AIs don't seem to have any real emotional experience, no matter how powerful they are. The words make them feel happy or sad, but they don't show it in their writing. They are very smart, but they don't seem to have anything inside them. Quantum consciousness experts say we should expect this to happen. No matter how powerful it is, a traditional computer will never be able to copy the quantum world. We might need a quantum computer to make an AI that is truly aware. This argument has more at stake than you can imagine. If consciousness is quantum, it could change the way medicine is done. Things that go wrong in the brain, like sadness or schizophrenia, could be seen as quantum imbalances. As a treatment, that balance could be slowly restored. If the quantum information that makes up your consciousness can stay around in some way after you die, then death might not be the end of everything. These ideas are still very far away, but they show why this debate is so important to us. It's a discussion about the most important things in life. Who are we? How does the world make us feel? And how is this beautiful and mysterious thing called consciousness possible? There is a big decision we have to make about how to understand ourselves at this point, where quantum physics and neuroscience meet. It's not just experts who don't agree on this. It's a very important question about what it means to be human in a quantum world. This trip is about accepting the parts of ourselves that we don't know. Comment with the affirmation, "I am open to the mystery," if you're ready to discover your own inner universe. This is your personal opportunity to learn more about yourself. In the operating room, you might find the answer to this argument. The OR theory says something that we can test. If microtubules are where consciousness comes from, then different types of anesthetics should have different effects on these quantum systems. Blocking receptors in the brain is a simple and traditional way for some anesthetics to work. Some, like the rare gas xenon, don't though. They use a different, less clear method to do their job. Based on quantum theory, these gases are thought to work by directly messing up the microtubules' quantum coherence. Now, scientists are putting this idea to the test by measuring quantum coherence in brain tissue that has been exposed to these different anesthetics. The early findings are very exciting. Scientists have found what they think is quantum coherence that lasts for microseconds. This is still very short, but millions of times longer than what some people thought was possible. What's even more interesting is that the noble gas anesthetics seem to mess up this coherence at the same levels that make people lose consciousness. If these results are proven to be true, it will be the first clear proof that quantum effects in your brain affect your consciousness. Even these positive results are met with a lot of doubt, though. The tests are very hard and need to be done carefully. It's possible that the scientists are reading quantum effects from their own tools instead of from brain matter. We might need to find whole new ways to look at the issue now that it's at this point. This is where the new area of quantum biology comes in. Scientists who study quantum effects in other living things have come up with amazing new ways to find real quantum effects in living things. These tools are now being used on the brain. The most strong proof comes from research that looks at quantum entanglement in brain cells. In order for classical physics to explain how consciousness works, different parts of your brain should be quantumly linked and show correlations that it can't explain. The action in these connections would seem to be in sync and happen faster than a nerve signal. Particularly when a person is in a state of deep meditation or creative thought. Some researchers claim to have discovered these correlations, these hints of quantum entanglement between faraway parts of the brain. The correlations seem to happen right away, which is much faster than brains typically communicate. Some people think this might just be a trick, but if it is ever proven that the correlations in our brains don't follow Bell's theorem, that would be the smoking gun. For sure, it would show that quantum mechanics is working in our thoughts. This is about more than just consciousness. It's about life itself. When living things create and keep quantum entanglement, it means that life may have computing power that is far beyond our wildest dreams. Could it be that evolution found quantum methods that we are just now starting to think about? Scientists are looking deeper into this puzzle and finding evidence that makes us question what we think we know about the world. A group of experts at CERN, the European Organization for Nuclear Research, found something they didn't expect. Using fake networks that looked like brain tissue, they were looking into how quantum information moves through complicated networks. They couldn't say anything about what they found. It took a lot longer than anyone thought it would for these fake networks to start showing signs of spontaneous quantum coherence. This coherence wasn't weak. It was strong and could organize itself. There were strategies that no one had programmed into the networks that made them seem to actively protect their quantum states from the noisy surroundings. This sent shockwaves through the field of consciousness study. If a computer network could learn to keep its quantum states safe, then our brains may have evolved to do the same. Perhaps our brains aren't just putting up with quantum effects. They may be actively seeking them out. A new search began because of this thought. Scientists stopped looking for quantum coherence itself and started looking for the cellular machinery that might be keeping it safe. They looked for it and found it. They found molecular shapes that looked just like quantum protection systems deep inside the protein structures around the microtubules. It was like nature had made its own quantum error correction systems that were smarter than anything our engineers have ever come up with. But this brings up a deep, almost spiritual question. How could something so complicated and well-planned have come about by chance? Some brave experts have suggested that quantum effects may have played a role in how they evolved. This thought is very different. It seems that organisms with better quantum protection didn't just live longer. They also evolved better because their quantum nature let them try out many different evolutionary paths at the same time. One way to look at this is that evolution itself could be a quantum process. So the creation of consciousness wasn't just a happy accident. It had to happen somehow, because it was in line with the laws of the world. This idea gives life's story a sense of direction and meaning. It makes me think that we weren't just the random result of a lot of crazy events. Maybe the world was always meant to make beings who could look back and wonder about it all. If you agree with the idea that consciousness was meant to appear, share this powerful thought in the comments. My awareness has a purpose. Saying this out loud can help you understand the deep meaning of your life. The most recent finds might be the most beautiful ones yet. Scientists are starting to see signs of quantum coherence in live brain tissue using brand new quantum sensors that are very sensitive. But it's not a steady hum all the time. Instead, it looks like there are small, separate areas of coherence that appear and disappear like fireflies on a summer night. Most of the time, these quantum flickers happen when the mind is very active, like when you have a creative insight or are fixing a hard problem. What this did is give us a new thought: the quantum cascade model. This model says that consciousness doesn't come from a single quantum state that lasts a long time. Every moment of your consciousness might start with a small quantum event, like a spark. This event then moves through your classical neural networks and gets amplified into the full, rich experience you are having right now. This type is a great middle ground. It says that both regular and quantum processes are important. The quantum world gives consciousness its creative spark, and the classical brain gives it the fuel it needs to keep going. This might be the reason why sedation works the way it does. Some drugs could stop the first quantum spark, while others could mess up the classical networks that carry the flame. Observations in the clinic seem to back this up. Consciousness slowly disappears under traditional anesthetics. But when drugs are used that are thought to mess up quantum processes, consciousness goes away quickly, like a switch was flipped. This is some of the best proof that quantum processes are very important in your mind, even if they are very small and short. This also helps us figure out why it's been so hard to find these effects. The quantum sparks that make you think may only last a few nanoseconds. They have already turned into regular brain activity by the time we can measure them, hiding where they came from at the quantum level. Going outside to look for lightning after the thunder has already gone off is like that. The most shocking news in this whole story didn't come from a neuroscience lab, but from a drug business. Dr. Elizabeth Hartwell was trying to figure out why the body was taking in some new drugs faster than science should allow. Everything would change after what she found. It wasn't like the drug molecules were following any rules. Through quantum tunneling, they were able to disappear from one place and reappear in another without going through the area between. But what really blew my mind was that this tunneling wasn't just happening. It looked like the molecules knew exactly where to go because they went straight to certain receptor spots in the brain. They felt like they were being led by a quantum GPS. The body is not just a simple machine, as this finding showed. Quantum effects are being carefully orchestrated. Overnight, this changed the way medicine was done. It turned out that the drugs we were making were for a traditional body, but our bodies worked on quantum principles. This led to the introduction of quantum-designed drugs, which are medicines that are made to work with the quantum systems in the body. The effects were truly amazing. Diseases could be hit with amazing accuracy and strength by these drugs, but when they were used to treat mental illnesses, that was the most amazing thing that was found. People who took quantum-designed medicines and other drugs said they felt very different. Not only did their symptoms disappear, but they also reported feeling more creative, emotionally connected, and aware. With these medicines, we finally had something that could directly and positively affect the quantum processes that make up our consciousness. Quantum psychiatry emerged as a result of this. It became clear that a lot of mental illnesses were not just chemical imbalances. They were quantum diseases, which means they messed up the brain's delicate quantum coherence. To restore this quantum balance, therapies were created that used gentle electromagnetic fields. These therapies helped people who had been thought to be incurably sick for decades. There may be untapped potential inside you that you want to wake up. Say in the comments, "I am ready to unlock my potential." This is your message to yourself and the world that you are becoming a brighter, more aware version of yourself. Before we explore the last frontier of our potential, if you felt a connection to this journey, give this transmission more power by liking the video. Every like is a pulse of intention that amplifies the energy of this group exploration and grounds you in these better options. They say, these discoveries happen every day. To stay in touch with this flow of awareness, I invite you to subscribe. By doing this, you are deciding to be a part of this ongoing awakening and making a steady, energetic link to the very edge of what humans and the universe are discovering. This trip into the quantum mind shows us a truth that makes us feel weak and strong at the same time. If mental illness is when our quantum systems don't work right, then mental health is when our quantum systems work perfectly. Researchers then asked an amazing question. Could we improve consciousness beyond what we think is normal by making these quantum patterns work better? The early trials have been really cool. Volunteers who used these methods got much better at being creative, solving problems, and understanding other people's feelings. On top of that, they say they have had transcendental experiences, like a deep connection to the world and an awareness of how all life is connected. According to this study, what we normally think of as normal consciousness may not even come close to what we are really capable of. It's like we've all been living with the light turned down and are just now learning how to turn it up. We need to be careful and wise as we walk this path, because it is full of deep moral questions. But it also makes me think of something beautiful about how we've changed over time. Life may have been a slow, steady process of evolution that has been improving these quantum systems over millions of years, slowly making consciousness bigger. The skills we are learning now could just speed up a natural process that has been going on for a long time. Now, what does this mean for you and me? There is a big and beautiful puzzle right in front of us. There isn't enough proof yet, and there are smart, good-hearted people on both sides of this argument. Quantum thinkers have shown us that life is a lot more magical than we thought, and that quantum tricks are used in nature in ways we didn't expect. On the other hand, the doubters are right to point out how far classical neuroscience has come and how hard decoherence is. It's clear, though, that this argument is about more than just science. Our ideas about what it means to be human are at stake. Do our minds resonate with the quantum music of the universe? Or are we complex biological machines? The mystery of consciousness is still there. It's still a hard problem to figure out why we feel anything at all. But this isn't a mistake made by science. This is proof of how truly amazing your consciousness is. It is a miracle that the world can organize itself into a pattern that is complicated enough for us to feel, love, and wonder. This is true whether the roots of the pattern are classical or quantum. No matter what the result is, this debate has made us feel more amazed. We now see our own minds with fresh eyes and value the great gift of subjective experience much more. The most important thing is that it tells us that consciousness is not just something else to study in the universe. We study everything else by this light. This is how we are using our consciousness to learn about consciousness. We are the world becoming aware of itself. The most important thing to think about may not be whether our thoughts are quantum or classical in the end. Realizing that consciousness, your consciousness, is a part of something truly amazing in the fabric of reality is an easy but stunning realization. You are a part of the universe that has become aware. You are using the body tools that nature has given you to find out the most mysterious things about life. The mystery grows as the trip goes on. Asking these kinds of questions about your own thoughts, on the other hand, is one of the most basic things that people do. This is how you use your mind to learn about your mind. Consciousness thinking about itself in a beautiful, endless search to figure out who you are and what your life means in this strange and wonderful quantum universe you live in. And the answer may be even more amazing than we can imagine when it comes. Your mind is truly amazing because it can ask these questions in the first place. This is what the search for the truth about consciousness shows. That's a wonder in and of itself. This quest to learn never really stops. If you're determined to keep exploring your amazing mind, leave one last affirmation in the comments. My journey is just beginning. Thanks for letting me share this moment of wonder with you. Thank you for being a part of this broadcast. We don't have to end the energy we've made here. Like this video? Share it with other like-minded people to make this field of consciousness bigger. Every share is a kind act that sends a wave of this quantum awareness out into the world and ties us all together on this beautiful, mysterious path.